Dear friends, I would like to invite you to visualize that we are an organism, and each of us is a cell of the organism. And we are together as an organism, and we are alive. We have the capacity to protect ourselves and to grow. There is one of us who takes care of the bell, assuring our silence, helping us to go home to our mindful breathing, so that each of us will breathe in and out mindfully and peacefully to be truly there for other cells. There is one of us who takes care of the light, so that we can feel the presence of each other. There is one of us who takes care of the sound, so that the communication between us can be easy. And every one of us is trying to be our best, breathing in, breathing out deeply, peacefully, in order to offer our true presence to the whole organism. We want to be there for all the other cells, and we know that all the other cells are there for us, and communication and harmony is possible. Every organism has the capacity to get the information that is needed and to transmit the information to all the cells in the organism, so that together all the cells will choose the kind of behavior that can help us be safe and to grow. When we look deeply into our body, we see that our body is a community of cells, and there is permanent communication between all the cells. Our brain, our nervous systems have the role of transmitting all informations that they get to every cell. And each neuron is always in permanent communication with the other neurons. And from time to time, they come together in a coalition in order to make a decision as how to best respond to the environment and to continue our growth. And this decision is transmitted to all the cells within the body. If we look deeply, we don't see any particular cell that is the boss, that is giving the order. And modern biology tells us very clearly that there is no self. We are a community of cells. And if I am a cell of the heart or of a liver, I'm happy to be a liver cell or a heart cell and try to be my best to do my job, because the well-being of the whole organism depends on me. And I do not discriminate against the other cells, like the cell in the brain, the neuron. I don't think that the neuron is superior to me, and I am inferior to it. Therefore, there is no complex of superiority, no complex of inferiority, even no complex of equality among the cells. Look at my right hand. I am a right-handed person. And my hand is used to do things like inviting the bell to sound, writing a lecture, practicing calligraphy, compose poetry. But my hand never looked down on my left hand. In my right hand, and in every cell of my right hand, there is the wisdom. In Buddhism, it's called the wisdom of non-discrimination. And therefore, my right hand never looked down on my left hand and produced a thought like, you, left hand, you are good for nothing. It never produced such a kind of thought. That kind of thought does not go with wisdom, with compassion, with brotherhood. And my left hand, does not have any complex whatsoever. It does not have the complex of inferiority, not at all. And that is why the collaboration between the two hands is perfect, non-discrimination. One day my left hand is holding a nail, and my right hand was holding a hammer. We were trying to drive the nail into the wall in order to hang a picture. But on that day, my right hand is a little bit shaky. Instead of hitting the nail, it hit the left hand. It was a mistake. My right hand immediately put the hammer down and took very good care of my left hand without anybody order it to do so. Because communication is already possible, always permanent. Communication is extremely important. And there is no thinking, no discrimination in that kind of act. My right hand does not say that you left hand, you have to remember, I have taken good care of you. One day, you may have to pay back. No, there is no such thinking on the part of the right hand. And my left hand did not have any anger whatsoever. Did not have any kind of discrimination. It did not say, you, right hand, you have made me suffer. You have done me injustice. I want justice. Give me that hammer. You don't need to be a Buddha in order to have the wisdom of non-discrimination, because your right hand doesn't have it, your left hand does have it, and every cell in our body does have it, the wisdom of non-discrimination. I have been building a Sangha since 25 years ago, a monastic Sangha and a lay Sangha. And I follow that principle. It is possible to build a community on the ground of non-discrimination. And everyone in the Sangha, in the community, is capable of looking at each other like brothers and sisters in the same family, like a right hand and a left hand. They are brothers and sisters who are capable of giving good Dhamma talks. There are brothers and sisters who are capable of organizing retreats and give consultation to the people who suffer and who need advices. There are brothers and sisters who are good of cooking, of gardening, and everyone in the Sangha is in his or her own situation and know that what he or she is doing is for the happiness of the whole Sangha. And with the practice of mindful breathing, mindful walking, looking deeply, we have a chance to look deeply, to know that we are cells of the same family, because Sangha is an organism, and it is possible to build a community in which harmony and happiness are possible. With the practice of mindful breathing, we can always bring our mind home to our body and become fully present, fully alive. And we are in a position to know what is going on in us and around us. In us, there are seeds of joy, happiness, and love. There are also seeds of suffering and pain and despair. What is going around is that there are brothers and sisters who are practicing beautifully, expressing their mindfulness, their concentration, their insight, their understanding and love. Everyone try to walk peacefully. Each step brings solidity and freedom. Everyone practice looking with compassionate eyes. Everyone practice smiling with brotherhood. And that creates a kind of environment to where everyone feels nourished. We don't have to imitate anyone in the community. But by observing, by allowing ourselves to be present, we begin to learn on a lower metabolic level. And the way we smile, we walk, we talk, we look, express our peace, our brotherhood, because every cell in our body is capable of learning, of transforming. And when we get the compassion, the non-discrimination, the love from our brothers and sisters, the blocks of pain and sorrow in us begin to shrink, to transform. Togetherness is something possible. But in order to realize togetherness, we need to practice. The practice is the practice of looking deeply to see that we are an organism. And suffering as well as happiness are not individual things. If the father suffers deeply, there is no way that the son can be truly happy. If the wife suffers deeply, there is no way that the husband can be truly happy. And therefore, helping the son to suffer less, the father will suffer less. Helping the wife to suffer less, the husband will suffer less. We are related to each other. And we have to see the nature of interconnectedness, the nature of interbeing between us. Togetherness is the opposition of division, separation. And togetherness is possible only when we have got the wisdom of non-discrimination. When we look deeply into the Son, we see the Father. Because we realize that the Son is the continuation of the Father. When you look at the daughter, you see the mother, because the daughter is the continuation of the mother and the father. Imagine a young plant of corn that has grown from a grain of corn. When you planted a grain of corn, a number of days after, you see a young plant of corn. When you see the young plant of corn, you don't see the grain of corn anymore. You might think that the grain of corn is no longer there. But it is there, it's still there. It is in the young plant of corn, because the young plant of corn is the continuation of the seed of corn. And when you ask the question as whether the plant of corn and the grain of corn are two separate entities and are the same entity, is the Son the same person with the Father, or he is a completely separated entity from his Father? In the practice of looking deeply, you discover that Father and Son, they are neither the same person nor two different persons. Even the Father himself, he has been a 5-year-old child. Now he still preserves his picture of a 5-year-old child in his family album. And when he look at the picture of the 5-year-old boy that he has been, he see a big difference. The body, the feelings, the perceptions, the consciousness. You cannot say that you are the same, exactly the same as the 5-year-old boy. But you cannot say that you are a completely different person. So even the Father and the Father are not exactly one person and not two different entities, not to say between the Son and the Father. Looking deeply helps us to see the nature of neither the same nor a different entity. Looking deeply, we see that we are connected to each other. Looking deeply, we see that we interact. You cannot be by yourself alone. You have to interbe with everyone and everything else. And without that kind of insight, without that kind of wisdom of discrimination, togetherness will not be possible. Palestinians and the Israelis, they interact. The suffering of one side should be considered to be the suffering of the other side. They are like the two hands of the same body. Safety, security, growth, prosperity cannot be obtained by on one side at the expense of the other side. If we take care of the safety of the other side, you have safety also. If you take care of the well-being of the other side, you have a chance to have well-being also. The Hindu and the Muslim, the Americans and the Arabs, they are all in one organism. The suffering of one side is the suffering of the other side. And if we have the seed, if we have the wisdom of non-discrimination, we will stop punishing each other. We will stop being afraid of each other and get angry at each other. Fear, anger, hate, violence, and separations are there because we do not have the insight of interbeing. We have to learn from ourselves, from each cell of our body. We have to learn from our left hand. We have to learn from our right hand. We have to see that safety and growth and prosperity and security are not individual matters. And we have to remove our wrong perceptions in order for the insight of togetherness, the insight of non-discrimination be possible. Modern science have shown us the nature of non-self in everything. When we study the brain, when we study the human body, we can discover the reality of non-self in our brain, in our body. If we practice to maintain our concentration on the wisdom of non-self in our daily life, we will get the insight of no-self. We will behave according to the wisdom of non-discrimination. From the base of wrong perceptions are born fear, anger, hate, violence, and the willingness to punish. Communication has become difficult, even between members of the same family. Even if we live in a time when there's so many sophisticated means for communication, like telephone, fax, email, etc. Very often, father cannot talk to son, mother cannot talk to daughter, husband cannot talk to wife. And when communication is difficult, impossible, harmony and happiness cannot be possible. We have wrong perceptions on ourselves. We have wrong perceptions on the other person and the other groups of persons. And wrong perceptions give rise to fear, suspicion, hate, violence, the desire to punish. That is why the basic practice for peace, for harmony, for happiness is the practice of removing wrong perceptions. September 11 can be the subject of our meditation. We cannot take our mind out of that. So let us use it as the theme of our meditation. Let us look deeply into the event. Why such a thing has happened to us? Why so much anger, so much hate, and so much fear? If we look deeply, we will realize that September 11th is also the outcome of wrong perceptions. The people who were authors of that attack, they might have believed that they are punishing America because America has the intention to destroy them as a spiritual tradition, a religion, a way of life, a people. And they believe that by inflicting that punishment, that suffering on the American people, they are doing justice. They are on the side of God. And they feel that they can die happily because they are very close to God. do the American people have the intention to destroy the other group as a religion, a way of life, or a people? No. But there is a wrong perception on their part. And maybe America has said something, has done something that has given the impression that they have. Because in our daily life, we may be unskillful in our way of talking, in our way of acting. In my tradition, deep listening, compassionate listening can remove a lot of suffering. And we know that there are people who are capable of listening deeply and with compassion. In the Buddhist tradition, we speak of Avalokiteshvara, who is the one that is called the Bodhisattva of deep listening. When one is capable of listening deeply with compassion, one can help remove a lot of suffering in the other person. President Franklin Roosevelt, during the Great Depression and before the World War, called on the American people not to become victims of fear. He said, we have nothing to fear except fear itself. Because if we are victim of fear, we will do the wrong thing. We will say the wrong thing. It will cause suffering. That is why we have to be capable to protect us from the fear and the anger. And then the world will listen, will follow. And the world will admire America because America is capable of listening to herself, to her own suffering, to her own wisdom. And with that, America can start a dialogue with the other side. Using love and speech, America can say something like this: dear people, we know that you are very angry at us. You hate us so much. That's why you have done such a thing to us. You don't know why you have done such a thing to us. You don't really know. Please tell us. Please tell us the reason why you have done such a thing to us. Have we done anything that make you suffer that much? That give you that much anger and hate? It is not our intention to destroy you as a religion, a way of life, a people. We may have said or done something not skillful that can give you that impression, but really we do not have that intention. We want to listen to you. Please tell us why you have done such a thing to us. And then America will be able to listen deeply. And when you listen deeply, you realize that they may have wrong perceptions on themselves, wrong perceptions on America. And if you understand, and if you see that their wrong perceptions are the foundation for their fear, their anger, their hate, their violence, and then you could be able to help them remove these wrong perceptions, correct these wrong perceptions. And while listening deeply, America may realize that in her way of dealing with other people in the world, there may be some unskillfulness and so on. And listening like that will help us to adjust our behavior in order not to cause the same kind of misunderstanding and suffering in the world. It's very clear that every one of us have realized that wrong perceptions cannot be removed by the army, by the guns, by the bombs. We have not been able to reduce the level of fear, the level of hate, the level of violence with the war. Because we know that terrorism, violence, hate, and fear are born from wrong perceptions on self and wrong perceptions on the other. And in order to help correct wrong perceptions, you have to release the kind of informations that can help people to correct these wrong perceptions. And the practice of deep listening, the practice of listening with compassion, are the real practices in order to remove wrong perceptions and restore communication. And if our government has not tried and is not strong enough in order to practice that, and the people have to support them, to help them to do so, there are those of us who are capable of listening deeply and with compassion. You have to invite them to come over, because such people exist in America. There are people who are capable of using loving speech in order to invite the other side to speak out their fear, their suffering, their despair. There are people who know how to express themselves with loving kindness. Because we know very well by this time that only by removing wrong perceptions that we can remove fear, anger, hate, violence, and separation. We know that anxiety, fear, anger continue in us day and night. And these energies have the power to destroy us. Imagine the quantity of drugs, tranquilizers, sleeping pills that have been used in our nations. We have been punishing each other. We have been offering each other fear and despair. That is not very healthy for one who offers and for the one who has to receive. We have to stop that course of harming each other, destroying each other. Because fear and anger and anxiety are real poisons. They prevent us to grow as a happy organism, as a happy cells, happy organism, happy nations, happy people. After September 11th, I spent several weeks in America, and I could witness to that kind of fear, anxiety, and anger. Life was somehow stopped. When you go get into an airplane and you look at the face of people sitting on an airplane, you could see the fear in everyone, the anger also. We have to accept the fact that the anxiety the fear, the anger are still somehow in us, and they continue to destroy us. That is why the amount of drugs we use is enormous. The token that we have to pay is very, very big. The destruction of the Twin Towers took away 4,000, 5,000 people. But the damage done to America on the psychological level is enormous. And that is why we have to practice in order to not to continue to be victims of fear, anxiety, and anger. And this is the time when we have to come together in order to decide what course of action, what kind of behavior that is appropriate for our true protection, that can allow us to continue our growth as a nation of a people. Because each cell of the body has intelligence and is involved with purpose and intent. And the community of cells have to come together in order to bring the best resources that can help us to choose the kind of behavior, the kind of action or reaction that can ensure our safety and our growth. We have to call on our best resources, our intelligence, our understanding, our compassion, our capacity of listening deeply, our capacity of using loving speech. We should not rely on bombs and guns, because bombs and guns have failed to remove fear, hate, and violence. So far, we have not been able to reduce the violence, the fear in us and on the other side. It is possible for us to ask the question whether the war waged against terrorism has helped diminish the number of terrorists, has helped diminish the feeling of hate, the feeling of fear, of anger. It has costed a lot for America and for Iraq. Mothers, fathers, brothers and sisters of our young men who have been sent to Iraq live with fear, anxiety, and they also do not know what to do in order to stop the situation of violence, of fear, of unhappiness. It is my conviction that if the American people are able to get to their best resources that are available, they will come out, get out of the situation easily. I just quoted President Roosevelt. He said, "We have nothing to fear but fear itself." There's a lot of wisdom in his statement. If we know the course of action to make, if we can get enough information, if we are able to remove our wrong perceptions, and then we are free from fear, from hate, from anger, and we can help the other people to remove their wrong perceptions, remove their fear, their anger, their violence also. It is our experience that when the husband practices, he removes his anger, his wrong perceptions, and he's able to help his wife to do the same. When a daughter practices, she's able to look deeply, to remove her wrong perceptions, her hate, her anger, and then she'll be able to help her mother to do the same. We have offered many retreats of mindfulness, a little bit everywhere in Europe, in Asia, even in the Middle East. And we have helped bring back communication, harmony to countless couples. We have also invited groups of Israelis and Palestinians to come to Plum Village every year in order to help them to practice removing their fear, their anger, and learn how to taste the joy of life. Imagine the first day they come, they could not look at each other because both groups were filled with suffering, anger, suspicion. The first practice that we offer them is the practice of mindful breathing, to be aware of the body, to be aware of the feelings, to embrace the body and the feelings. First, you practice breathing so that you can bring the element of peace and harmony into your in-breath and out-breath. And when the quality of your in-breath and out-breath is good, you can use the energy of mindfulness of breathing to recognize your body and to embrace your body with the energy of mindful breathing. There's always tension, stress, and pain in your body. And this practice of recognizing the body and allow your body to relax was offered by the Buddha 2,600 years ago. Breathing in, I'm aware of my body. Breathing out, I allow my body to release the tension. And then after having been able to release the tension in the body, you go to the realm of feelings. Breathing in, I recognize and embrace of the feeling in me. Painful feeling, the feeling of fear, the feeling of pain. Breathing out, I release the tension in that feeling. Recognizing the feeling, embracing the feeling with the energy of mindfulness is a very important practice. After you have succeeded in bringing relaxation to your body, you begin to recognize, embrace your feelings, and help your feeling to decrease its intensity. It's not the practice of fighting against the feeling. It is the practice of recognizing it, embracing it with the energy of mindfulness, like a mother embracing her child. And the tenderness of the mother penetrates into the body of the child, and the child gets a relief. It's very important to recognize the painful feeling in us, the emotion in us, and embrace it tenderly with the energy of mindfulness that is generated by the practice of mindful breathing or mindful walking. If you do not have the energy of mindfulness, and then you have nothing to take care of your feelings. And that is why in a practice center, the practice of mindful breathing, mindful walking, mindful cooking, mindful sitting is very important, because that kind of practice helps to generate the energy of mindfulness. And with that energy, you can recognize and embrace the painful feeling in you. And both groups will offer that kind of practice for a week. And there were international practitioners present in Plum Village in order to support, to practice, and to guide these groups of Palestinians and Israelis. And after that, after 1 week of practice of calm and releasing, we initiate both groups to practice deep listening, compassionate listening, and using loving speech. Each person is invited to express himself, herself, to tell what is in his or her heart in terms of suffering, despair. They should try to give the information to help the other person, the other group of persons, to know the suffering that they have undergone in many years, children as well as adults. And they try their best to use the kind of language that can convey the truth of suffering. No blaming, no judging, with no bitterness. You have the right to tell people of your own suffering, but refrain from blaming, refrain from using the language of bitterness and judgment, so that the other people have the capacity to listen to you. That is called loving speech. And if you are the ones who listen, you have to remember that this kind of practice of deep listening has only one purpose: allowing the other person to have a chance to empty his or her heart. So far, no one has been able to listen to him or to her. Now you are practicing like the Bodhisattva of deep listening. You want to bring her, to help him to have a chance to get a relief. That is why you practice deep listening, compassionate listening. You know that if you can listen to him or to her for 1 hour like that, she or he will suffer less. And therefore, you are protected by the energy of compassion. And irritation and anger will not come up during the time of listening. Even if the other person in his speech expressed a lot of wrong perceptions, and express some judgment, criticism, judgment, but you are able to continue to listen with compassion. You are protected by the energy of compassion, because you have maintained compassion alive by focusing your attention on one thing. I listen to him or to her like this is only with one purpose: help him or help her a chance to speak out and to get a relief. Therefore, even if her speech is full of bitterness and wrong perceptions, you are still capable of listening. And you can tell yourself that there will be enough time in the future for you to release the kind of information to help him or her to correct the perceptions. That is why you are capable of listening with calm and compassion. Of course, if we interrupt him or her and give him or her the information, that would not be good practice, because that will prevent him or her to continue, and the session of listening become a discussion. And that's why you only listen, even if you notice that there are wrong perceptions in what the other person say. And you tell yourself that even tomorrow, after tomorrow, you have a chance to release information in order to help him or her to correct their perception. You know that you have to release a certain amount only of these informations, because he or she could not be able to receive a whole load of information that you give. That's too much for him, too much for her. A dose enough for that person to accept. And you continue like that, you choose a good moment, and you just release one or two informations. And that is to help the other side to correct his or her wrong perceptions. That is an art of communication. While listening, you realize that the other side, they have suffered exactly like you have suffered on this side. They have undergone exactly the same kind of suffering that you have. And when you realize that, the nectar of compassion is born in your heart, and you can look at them now with the eyes of compassion. If you were with us in these sessions and looking, observing, you can see the transformation in the face of the people. When you are able to understand the suffering of the other person or groups of persons, seeing that they have undergone a lot of misery, a lot of suffering like you have. They are just human beings like you. And then you begin to be able to look at them with the eyes of compassion. There is no longer any hate. And transformation can be seen by everyone in the group. With the practice of deep listening, compassionate listening, and love and speech, we can very well help each other to remove our wrong perceptions and bring back communication. We are no longer separated from each other because we know that we are both victims of wrong perceptions. And now the group of Israelis and the group of Palestinians are capable of sharing a meal together, walking together, holding hands together. It's very moving to see. And on the last day of the practice, they always come together as one group to report on their practice, effect of the fruit of their practice. They are always determined to go back to the Middle East and to organize the practice so that other Palestinians and Israelis can come and practice like them. Because in a few weeks spent in Plum Village, they have been able to transform a lot of their anger, fear, hatred, and begin to taste the joy of living. It is my conviction that if the practice is effective on the level of individuals, like father and son, father and daughter, mother and son and daughter, husband and wife. If the practice is effective on the levels of groups, and then it should be effective on the level of nations. I know our political leaders may have not been trained in these techniques. That is why we have to support them, to help them. We have to practice as a family. We have to practice as a community. We have to practice as a nation. We have to call on the best kind of resources that our nation has. We should not allow the situation to continue like this, to allow the fear, the anxiety, the anger continue to destroy us. Let us come together. Let us not to be too busy to to come together. Let us combine our wisdom, our insight. Let us tell each other the kind of action, the kind of behavior we should adopt in order to better protect ourselves and to allow ourselves to grow as a nation, as a people. In an organism, every cell of the organism is active. Every cell has its own intelligence. Each cell is capable of getting information. Modern biology tells us that every cell of our body, with its membrane enveloping the cell, is capable of getting the information, of transmitting the information to the elements within the cell, and decide together what kind of behavior that is appropriate, that can help the cell to be well protected and to grow. And every cell of the body contribute to that kind of wisdom, that kind of communication, so that the whole organism know what is exactly the kind of behavior that is appropriate. We just cannot rely on a few cells. We have to act as cells in one body, in one organism. In the teaching of the Buddha, it is said that everyone has Buddha nature, the capacity to understand, to be compassionate, to be harmonious, to be non-discriminative. And every one of us should touch that part, that wonderful part in us, in order to become compassionate, to become peace, to become non-discriminative. And we come together with that kind of resource, and we can override the kind of action that has not led us anywhere. We can change the situation. The conditions is that we should be aware that we are together as an organism, that we should communicate to each other. We should bring out the best in each other in order to make the right decision. I'm happy that we have this opportunity to be together. Let us enjoy our togetherness. Let us be aware that we are one organism, that togetherness is possible, peace is possible. Peace can begin with one in-breath, out-breath. Peace is possible with the practice of relaxing our body, embracing our feelings. Peace is possible with our practice of communicating with each other, with the practice of loving speech and deep listening. And it is possible for us to be peace and to do peace.